going to be talking about how to use expectations to elevate performance without burning out. Let me make sure we're going live on all our platforms over here, real quick. There we go. Go live. We should be good. So imagine this real quick. Imagine two athletes walk into the exact same competition. I mean, the crowd is roaring, the stadium is bustling with energy, and two athletes walking through that tunnel into the stadium. Let's say 70,000 people, everyone's excited, the energy is there. Now, one of these athletes was told all year, "You're the best, you've got this." The other one, they were told, "Hey, just do your best. You know, give it your all. Just no matter what happens, we'll still be proud of you. Just show up and, give it, see what happens. Give it your best. Try hard." Now the question is, who do you think out of those two is actually going to perform better? Well, surprisingly, research shows both might win or lose, depending on how the expectations were actually supported. It's interesting. How do you support the expectations you put on other people? And what expectations do you even have for others? What about yourself? What expectations do you carry for yourself? Well, this training is about a concept that can inspire greatness or cause complete collapse of yourself or the people around you. Expectations. When done right, you can bring the absolute best out of yourself and others. When done wrong, you can ruin somebody. You can ruin your day. You can take someone out of the competition. We're going to explore, excuse me, we're going to explore when expectations help, when they can hurt, and how to set them properly for yourself and others. So whether it's for you, your team, your children, your family, we're going to figure out, when do you use these and how do you use them right? So if we think about this, I'll give you something to think about. Expectations can be like a ladder. So think of a giant ladder. You're going to climb up the side of the house. If you take the rungs on the ladder and you place that ladder way too high and it doesn't have the right amount of steps, people are going to fail because they can't reach the next step, or coming down, it's too far. They feel uncomfortable. They fall. Well, if you place the expectations too low, tiny ladder, people never really step up to what they're capable of. I think most people I work with, in all honesty, when you talk to them and you get to know them, you realize the reason they aren't succeeding at the level they desire is the expectations they hold for themselves way too low. The moment you get them to start expecting more from themselves and you support it in the right way, they flourish. Or they have expectations that are super high and they don't have any steps set up in a way to actually achieve those. So they're constantly disappointing themselves. So here's the key. If you can set the expectations or the ladder high enough and create evenly spaced support with the right grip, all of a sudden you can start to climb this ladder. You can start to scale into what you're truly capable of. I'll give you a 3E model. It's something really, really important. Think elevation. You want to set high but clear expectations. Number 2, enablement. Provide resources, feedback, emotional support. Provide the actual support needed to make that kind of growth happen. And finally, number 3, the third E. So we have elevation, enablement. The third E is elasticity. Adjust and adapt when setbacks arise or there's changes needed to be made. Adapt, be elastic, be flexible, bend and adjust to what's needed to get you to that end result. Be stubborn on the outcome, be flexible on the path. Remember that. If someone wants to take notes from me today, feel free to drop that in the comment box. Stubborn on the outcome, flexible on the path, meaning I know where I'm going and I will not stop until I get there. I am open to lots of different ways to get there. I'm going to be creative and figure out which one's actually working and which one's working right now. Just because you've done something in the past and it worked back then doesn't mean it works now under these conditions, and vice versa. Sometimes you got to come up with something new or go back to something you haven't done in a while. This is where you have to be flexible depending on world conditions, team conditions, time conditions, how well you slept, all the different things. This model is based on findings from organizational psychology, sports science, and performance coaching research. So just, it's 3 E's: elevation, high but clear expectations; 2, enablement, provide resources, feedback, emotional support; and 3, elasticity, adjust when setbacks arise or change is needed. So here's the key. There's some statistics here that really caught my attention. Teachers with high expectations for students improve achievement in those students by up to 30%, especially in a group that's normally seen as underperforming. Isn't that interesting? That was a 2007 study. Teachers with high expectations for students improve achievement in those by up to 30% just by starting to hold them to a higher standard, starting to expect more from them, not letting them slack off, not letting them just show up and do nothing. There's a study around what this is. It's called the Pygmalion effect, where managers who expect more from their team and they believe in them saw a significant increase in performance. So, where does this work? In the workplace, education, sports, your family? Well, let's talk workplace. If you have clear and ambitious expectations to boost productivity, you expect your team to show up. You demand from them. You call to them. You get them to really step up and see what they're really capable of. It's amazing. What about education? Students seem to rise to the level expected of them. There was a research study back in the day where they took a straight A student who was wonderful, total pleasure to have in class. And for the next year, the experiment said they went and told the next teacher they're going to have, they're a troublemaker, they struggle with learning, and you're really going to have a tough time with them. Then they took someone who was a troublemaker, who did struggle with learning, who was getting C's and D's. And they told the next teacher this person was going to have, they're a wonderful student, pleasure to have in class. You're going to love working with them. They're straight A's. They're absolutely going to do amazing. Here's what's crazy. The next year, the one who was struggling, who was told to be this amazing human, started getting great grades, was a pleasure in class. The one who was the straight A student, their grades started to fall. They were constantly wrestling and disagreeing and not connecting with the teacher. And it was all based on the teacher's expectations. Here's a crazy question. What expectations do you have for yourself? Do you expect yourself to show up? Do you expect yourself to find a way to follow through? I've been working on a program, actually a handful of them. One of them is coaching tools for teachers. It's a program we're going to give the teachers every time someone signs up for our coach certification. We're going to gift 5 or 10 copies to teachers to make sure that teachers have access to these tools since they spend so much time with young people. We're also creating one for purposeful parenting. Gosh, my parents luckily did have a lot of these tools, and I'm kind of lucky and grateful they used them. And as we've become parents and noticed all the things we're learning, I was like, gosh, there's some of this stuff I wish I was reminded of consistently. There's some of this stuff I observe friends and people around me as new parents going, ooh, they don't know that. I should share that with them. So we're creating a course on how to use these tools as a parent, how to use them as a teacher, and as a professional, how to get the most out of yourself and your team. So if you're interested in those things, just let me know. Here's the key, though. When do expectations actually hurt? There was Gallup research that showed 32% of U.S. employees feel engaged, largely due to unclear expectations. So only 32%. What is that? 68% feel unengaged because of unclear expectations. Oof. There's something called the Gollum effect, which is the opposite of the Pygmalion effect. Low expectations lead to low performance. So it's interesting. Why would people have low expectations of themselves? Well, we hear stuff like, don't get your hopes up. One of my favorite is great for feeling happy. Trade your expectation for appreciation. Just appreciate that you showed up. Just be proud that you tried. That's great for feeling good. I mean, you'll feel super happy about yourself no matter what the result is. But low expectations lead to low performance. So if you expect yourself to not show up and not follow through and not do what you promised and not do what you said, it's probably going to come true. Here's a crazy, crazy study. 2018, a study showed that tennis players favored the win were more likely to quit early after a single setback because the pressure of expectation crushed their resilience. Ooh, they were expecting themselves to be so good, so amazing that one setback crushed them. What are we learning here? That's kind of confusing. It's like, well, wait a second. If I have a super high expectation and I don't deliver, it crushes me. But if I have low expectations, then I'm doomed. There's a secret little caveat in here I haven't shared yet. The lesson is high expectations without support just equals pressure. I'll say it again. High expectations. I demand the most from myself. I'm the best. I'm doing whatever it takes. I will succeed. Without support, mental support, emotional support, physical support, without the right resources, without the right support, just leads to pressure and eventually people explode and burn out. And unclear expectations equals confusion and disengagement. This is really important. So if you're not clear on your expectations and you have high expectations with no support, science says A, you're not going to be as the best version of yourself, and B, you might burn out before even getting to the starting line. So what do we do about this? Well, what can we do? Number one, I call this the expectation alignment map. There's a few steps. Number one in this map is define what is expected. Be extremely clear. Here is what's expected. Number two, clarify why it matters. Why is that important? Why does it make a difference? Why does it make a difference for you, for me? Why does it make a difference for the team, the whole? Why does it make a difference now and in the future? So the person really understands why this is a critical element that you're expecting of them. Number three, discuss how support will be given and ask them, what support will you need in order to get this done? And leave open space for if something comes up along the journey and you need more or less support, here's how to let me know. We're here to support you. We're here to help you win. This is a really important step. Number three, discuss how support will be given and how to adjust that as needed in the process. Make sure they have tons of support and resources and insight. And then finally, number four, ask when and how you'll adjust along the way, which I kind of snuck into three, but be really clear on when and how you'll check in, when and how you'll adjust. So go through it real quick. Number one, define what is expected. Number two, clarify why it matters. Number three, discuss how support will be given. And number four, agree on when and how you'll adjust along the way. Really important. Tool number two, the expectation check-in. Gosh, I would use this probably once a day is what I do, but at least once a week with your team, with your family, with the people you're working with. We want to know real quick, what's working? I ask this every day. At the end of every day, I have a ChatGPT prompt I use to check in on my day. I've got my North Star vision, my 10-year goals, 5-year goals, 3-year goals, 1-year goals, 6-month goals. I have daily habits. I have a purpose statement, all this stuff built into a ChatGPT model we built. And I say, hey, can you check in with me to see what I did today that is keeping me on track? And if anything accidentally got me off track and what my plan to get back on track tomorrow is. It automatically does it. Asks me simple questions. It's kind of fun. I just talk to it. And it's something along the lines of what's working. What did you do today that kept you on track, that's actually keeping you moving towards where you want to go? Number two, what'd you learn? What didn't work? What didn't go as planned? What did you think was going to happen that didn't? Or what didn't you think was going to happen that did? What went off track, if anything? Finally, what are you going to do tomorrow to make sure we stay on track or get back on track? As a matter of fact, here, let me give you a little sample of this. Let me throw something on the screen. Hopefully you can see this. It's really simple. Really, really simple. It's something we use in Performance Coach University when we do trainings. And if you look at this first section over here, don't mind me doodling a little. first section right here, I want you to look back in your past and I want you to ask, what's something you're really proud of? What's something you're really proud of from your past? A moment when you stepped up, a moment when you did something challenging or hard, a moment when you figured something out that was you're really struggling with, a moment when you stepped up and were there to support someone else in the process. What's a moment you were really proud of? What about right here and now in this moment? What's something that you're what's something you're really grateful for? Got a heart beating thousands of times a day without you having to do anything. You can see, hear, feel the ability to be alive. Share special moments today with someone you love. What's something you're actually really grateful for in your life right now? And then looking forward, what's something what's something you're excited about in the future? Something you're actually looking forward to out in the future. Now, what's interesting, I had a friend who was going in for surgery and he was super nervous. Super nervous. He's like, oh my gosh, am I going to make it? I'm like, it's not that life or death surgery, man. It's a simple one. But he was really freaked out. And I said, here's all I want you to do while you're getting ready that morning. Something in the past I'm proud of, something in the moment I'm grateful for, something in the future I'm excited about. Something in the past I'm proud of, something in the moment I'm grateful for, something in the future I'm excited about. Something in the past I'm proud of, something in the moment I'm grateful for, something in the future I'm excited about. And all he did was repetitively go through this over and over and over again. Oh, I'll pop up on the screen. There I am. Hi. All he did is repetitively go through this over and over and over again. And as he did it, he felt calm. He felt really good. He actually got excited about what was going to happen next. And he said, gosh, I was so nervous. And I used that little trick. Something in the past I'm proud of, something in the moment I'm grateful for, something in the future I'm excited about. And he's like, God, it just settled down my whole nervous system. I felt so good going in and so good coming out of that surgery. I feel like that made a difference. I said, imagine doing that every day. The ability, something in the past you're proud of, something in the moment you're grateful for, something in the future you're excited about. Just repetitively running that through your nervous system. It's amazing how quickly it resets us. Now, let me pop back on here for a second. So these are some tools you can use, some actual tools. What they're encouraging is growth mindset. They're encouraging for you to expect setbacks. They happen, but also to plan for resilience, to know and expect from yourself that no matter what happens, you will find a way. Might not be the way you planned, but you'll figure it out because you'll be stubborn on the outcome, flexible on the path. The path we thought might not work, but we'll still get to that result over time. Well, here's the key. If we look at this, there's something called the personalization principle. What does that mean? Bring this back together here. Well, not everyone responds to expectations the same way. Here's what the research shows. High self-esteem individuals respond really well to performance pressure. But those who struggle with low self-esteem or perfectionism might crumble under unrealistic standards. So one thing we really, really need to be aware of is when you're setting expectations, know thyself. You got to know yourself, or you got to know the person that you're helping set the expectations for. Number two, you got to match the goal with their confidence. You have to have a real, honest, straight conversation. How confident are you at what you're about to do? Do you feel 10 out of 10? You've done it before. You know you can do it. You're going to do it again. Are you kind of a 5? I think I can do it. Or are you a 0? I have no clue what I'm about to do here. And set the expectations appropriately. We always say something. There's normal problems, abnormal problems, and life-threatening problems. It's normal. I have a son, at one time he was 6 months old. It's normal for him to poop his pants. That's what 6 months old do. Now he's turning 5. If he poops his pants every day consistently, that would become abnormal. That's not normal. What's happening? Something's off. And if he was 27, consistently doing this and unable to control it, that might become a life-threatening issue. Like something's wrong with this system. We need to figure out health-wise, go to a doctor, figure out how to help. Same thing when we're setting expectations. Are the expectations we're setting normal for the stage of development, skill set, and ability of yourself or for the person you're working with? I know you're working with someone else, not just you, right? Anyway, so set it to the standard skill set. So, can you do it? Will you do it? Are you naturally talented at it? Make sure we're dialing that in. Match the goal to their confidence. And finally, break the goal into micro wins. Look for the next 5 feet, the next 5 feet. In Performance Coach University, we share the CARE method, CARE. That's a really important method for setting and achieving goals. We also look at secure-based coaching models. That comes out of our purposeful parenting course, secure-based coaching models. How do we make sure that this human has a secure base, which means they feel really comfortable with stretching, but they don't feel like they're going to snap or go beyond into their breaking zone? Well, we have a really cool model we teach people. There's a comfort zone, there's a growth zone, and then at the very edge, there's a breaking zone. And depending on your nervous system's ability to function in the growth zone, we can expand how far you can grow and how fast you can grow before your nervous system shuts down and becomes overwhelmed and you start to shut off and run away. And so we work on that with you. We work on making sure we're setting those care goals as well as creating a secure base so that you can stretch into that bigger or more adaptive version of who you really are and expanding what you can take on. So if you want to master the psychology of motivation, if you want to learn how to set expectations that elevate without overwhelming, build some elite coaching strategies backed by research, come and join us at Performance Coach University. Inside, you'll learn models like the 3 E's for the expectation ladder, real world tools to apply with clients and teams, and join a global community of coaches that helps others thrive under a clear, compassionate direction. Anyways, visit performancecoachuniversity.com to begin your journey. We would love to have you. Quick recap, just so you can think of this through. High expectations help clear high goals supported by feedback, foster growth mindset, and personalized by strengths. When expectations hurt, they're vague or unrealistic demands, unsupported pressure, create anxiety or perfectionism, and thinking a one size fits all works for everybody. It doesn't. So make sure you do it right. Final slide. I'll throw this back up there. Something we do at the end of every training in Performance Coach University is really simple. We try to capture ideas worth doing. So if you watch this training, something stood out to you, all I'd ask you to do in the chat box real quick is think, what is at least one idea you picked up on in this training that's worth doing? What first action could you take? When could you start it? What value do you project that this will bring into your life or business? And who can help? What support might you need in order to follow through and get this done? Just like we learned today, if we're going to set something up, let's make sure you have the right support system in place. So I hope you take this. I hope you capture it. What's an idea? What's worth doing? What first action will you take? When will you get this started? What projected value or what benefits will this bring to you or your life or your business? And who can help support you? Have some fun with this. Apply it. And come and join us at Performance Coach University. We have a cohort starting in a few weeks. We'd love to have you. At least apply. See if you're a good fit.